Hi, I'm Joanna Steele, and we are at the Inspire Africa Conference. I'm here with Sefunmi co-founder and CEO of Co.Lab. How are you today?
Good, very well. Happy Friday.
Yay! It's been a long week, hasn't it?
Very long.
How's your Inspire Africa Conference experience been thus far?
It's been so good. Met a lot of amazing, talented people across Africa. People who feel like to just speak. So I'm just generally inspired by all the things and all the talks that I've gone on. So yeah, it's been good.
Brilliant. And I know that you're speaking today. Today is the Founders Town Hall Day. Give us a little insight of what you're going to be talking about.
Yeah, so we're actually meant to just talk about the problem area that we're trying to solve. So I want to deep around education, the problem with education, and the gap between traditional education and what we see today in full secondary institutions to what's expected in the workplace, and how that skills gap is going to turn into a skills chasm in the next couple of years. And I'm just drawing examples from good ways of education, such as medical residency. So just really just going deep into the problem and talking about how it affects people, and just sharing some stats as well. So it's an interesting topic. It's not necessarily directly related to what we do on a day-to-day basis, but I think it just covers the overarching challenges that we see in education today, which is a sector and industry that are part of.
Brilliant. And tell us a bit more about Co.Lab. What do you guys do?
Yeah, so we make learning and doing accessible for people in the tech industry, and we do that by running experiential cohort-based courses for people who are trying to transition into product management, product design, and software engineering. So we simulate what it feels like to be in a role, so they can feel prepared to be able to not just land the job, but also succeed at the job. So we just train talents, just make sure they're on track for success as they start their careers in tech.
Brilliant. And what inspired you to tackle this particular problem and that you're solving?
Of course, I had my own fair share of challenges when I was trying to transition into product. I didn't think it needed to be that hard. And I also noticed a bunch of other people, especially people of color, didn't have opportunities to grow or learn or have job opportunities where they could work on a global scale. So I really wanted to solve that problem, not just for myself, but for people that would come after me as well. So that was a huge motivation. As well as even my co-founder has a very inspiring story of where she started and how she is today, and just recognizing that look, we're not that special, even though, CB made it, but there are a lot of people who are way more brilliant than us, but don't have the opportunities. And so we want to be able to pave that road and make that easy for them.
Brilliant. That sounds fantastic. And, perhaps thinking about maybe the edtech sector in particular, or kind of any sectors really, what trends or developments in the tech and product space do you believe will shape the future of Africa's startup ecosystem?
Yeah, so I know a lot of people will say AI because that's the shiny new toy that's going on. But I actually don't even think it has to be anything disruptive. I think what our advantage is the fact that we have the youngest labor force in the world. Right? So if you even think about the Nigerian population, almost 50% of the population is below the age of 40, I believe. A lot of them are below the age of 25. And if you think about in the next couple of years when you really require labor to get things done, whether it's from an infrastructure point of view or from computing, I think that's where our advantage will come. We certainly have the numbers. And think about the manufacturing revolution that happened in China, right? Everyone, if you want to manufacture anything, you go to China now, and that work started decades ago. So I see our own revolution is going to happen because we just have sheer number and volume of people, and I think that impact is going to actually be felt across the world. But it's just about how do we unlock it, and how do we get information. And yes, that's a technology problem, but it's also a very human problem as well. And I think collaboration across borders would really help mobilize people to be able to get work, get training, be able to feed themselves, and also be able to serve a larger global audience in a variety of industries.
Brilliant. That sounds amazing. Really good. I'm glad you didn't say AI as well.
Yeah, it's too. I mean, I'm a big fan of AI, but I do think that at some point we're just going to notice it as much because it's just going to be some of us who just using regular technology.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I think you're right. It is definitely the sheer volume of numbers and the talent that is on the continent that is just gonna help and support us to lead the way and develop the ecosystem and other industries as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So, well, how do you think, so the entrepreneurs and sort of product leaders, obviously you come from a product management sort of background, and then sort of now being a co-founder as well. And so how do you think that entrepreneurs and product leaders can foster collaboration to drive sustainable innovation across Africa?
That's a very good question, but it's also a hard one. I think the first thing we need to do is kind of like reduce our egos. I think, we're in a society where, we always want to show that we're a couple steps ahead of each other. So I think we need to start from recognizing that it's a marathon, not a sprint. And once we break down those barriers, I think then it leads the opportunity for just like open dialogue and just like letting people know how difficult it is. And just one of the reasons why I'm here is like sharing our journey and stuff. Like it's still hard for us, and it's hard for people that are ahead of us, and it's also hard for people who are behind us. So just being able to be very open and honest and create more circles where you can like talk about these challenges. I think that just like demystifies entrepreneurship and allows people to just like borrow from others, especially share mistakes openly and not judging people for some of the mistakes that they've made. I think access to capital is also a very huge challenge just like across the continent. There's just like never enough money to go around. So not being stingy with like the access to like VCs or just like limited partners that are like funding venture capitalists, just being very open. I think that will ultimately really allow us to be able to move further. And just like recognizing that like look, it's us against the world. We need to stop thinking as like one people. And really just like I said, mobilize and get together and just think about the bigger picture. Not just think about just like our communities or our countries and whatnot. So I think like that's the best solution. It's not anything fancy. It's like, hey, let's just reduce our egos. Let's be more vulnerable with one another. Let's share resources. Let's like talk about how hard it is, and let's like help each other have just one goal. Succeed.
I think that involves some, because obviously a lot of those things you talked about, some of them are quite cultural, right?
Yep.
And so how do we maybe unlearn some of our, cultural elements to kind of help us to get to this point where we're able to be a bit more open with each other and share and talk.
That's a very difficult one, but the one example that I haven't even looked into this as much, but if you think about what's happening in Rwanda right now, there's a lot of like progress and development, and I think it's because they've been able to come together to their oneness and recognize that look, we're dividing ourselves with different things. So let's just say here we are one people and let's just like move forward. And it needs to be studied how they were able to do that because obviously they came from a very dark past. So they also just overcome that huge challenge to now be flourishing. Being called in Africa is like amazing. Economy is very safe, very clean. So I think we can borrow and learn from that, and leaders need to just come together and figure out like, hey, how can we realize that we're one people, not fighting, stop all this drama for maybe this friendly battle, which is okay.
Yeah, anyone has a bit. So let's move on.
Exactly. So let's just like we're one people. Let's just come together. There's only one jollof now. It's the Africa's jollof.
Yeah.
Just things like that. Because like it runs deep, and you need to really, like you said, unlearn some of those things. Because I think that's really good to like allow us to move faster, like further. Because like, hey, now we know exactly what we want to do. We want people. Let's like go against whatever company that we have, and just like keep progress.
Brilliant. Any final parting words?
First of all, thank you so much. You had amazing questions, so thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Having a great time. It's really good to be back home. I grew up in Nigeria. Excited for my talk. And yeah, I'm just like anyone who's just like trying their best to learn and grow, like reach out to like mentors, reach out to a bunch of people. And I hope you're able to find the help and support that you need. So just don't be scared to like ask for help. That's what I always tell people, that like worst you hear is no, but just like ask for as much help and support as you can.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.